welcome to the deep dive. If you're like us, you want knowledge fast, but you also want it thorough with all the nuance.
Yeah, you want the full picture.
Exactly. So today we are putting on our, let's say, most fashionable lens. We're exploring clothes shopping in New York City.
Right. And look, we're doing more than just, window shopping here.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the source material we've got, it's immediately clear.
Mm-hmm.
New York isn't just some big city with a lot of stores.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally important. It's confirmed as one of the definitive fashion capitals of the world.
Okay. So our mission today isn't just listing cool places to spend money. That'd be too easy.
Right.
It's more about analyzing what makes buying clothes in NYC, more than just a transaction. What turns it into this genuine, often really memorable experience? We got to figure out the mechanisms there.
Yeah, and I think we can unpack this pretty efficiently. We can break the material down into two main themes, basically.
Okay.
First, we'll sort of map out the diversity, both geographical and stylistic diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer range of options and, where you actually go to find them.
Makes sense. Geography is key in NYC.
Definitely. And then second, we'll analyze that intangible value, the more psychological, maybe emotional elements that really define the NYC retail experience. The stuff that makes that purchase feel genuinely special.
All right, let's dive into that first part then. This wide world of style. Our sources, they really emphasize that New York has something for every taste, every budget. Which, okay, lots of cities claim that, right?
Yeah.
But what makes the selection here so unique? What kind of range are we actually talking about?
Well, the sources, they really break down the fashion available into three pretty distinct styles. Okay. Not just price points, but actual styles.
Okay, like what?
So first, you've got your ultimate high-end designer brands.
Yeah.
The big names. Houses built on prestige, history, serious craft.
The icons.
Exactly. Then second, and this feels very New York, you have the ultra-current, trendy streetwear.
Ah, right. Limited drops, collabs.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just casual clothes. It's about limited drops, brand collaborations, and really reflecting that city pace, that frantic, always-on energy.
That's a key distinction, isn't it? Streetwear as a culture, not just, clothes.
Precisely. And the third category mentioned is the wide availability of budget-friendly fashion. But even here, the sources suggest that budget in New York doesn't automatically mean boring or generic. It ensures there's accessibility, there's selection, but without necessarily sacrificing that urban edge, that kind of style factor.
So we have these three broad styles: high-end, streetwear, budget-friendly. But New York is huge. Where do you actually go for what? The geography seems directly linked to the aesthetic you're after, like you said, a map.
It really is a map tied to mood, I think.
Yeah.
So if we start with those high-end designer brands, the sources naturally point you straight to Fifth Avenue. Yeah, it's the obvious one. And you're not just shopping there. You're kind of entering this world of global luxury retail. Yeah. The flagships are designed to be destinations. Total showcases of prestige, sometimes involving, personal appointments, velvet ropes, the whole deal.
Right. Fifth Avenue sets that global standard. Polished, maybe a bit intimidating.
It can be, yeah.
But then if you move just a little downtown, you hit Soho, and the whole atmosphere, it just shifts completely, doesn't it? The sources highlight browsing the smaller, more curated boutiques there.
Oh, the difference is fundamental. Fifth Avenue is about scale and, like you said, polish. Soho, that's much more about discovery and selection.
Okay.
In Soho, you really find that blend. High-end design mixed with more unique, independent streetwear finds. Stores themselves, they tend to be smaller, very focused on high visual merchandising. It's almost like walking through an art gallery sometimes.
Yeah, I get that vibe.
The lighting's moodier, the music is curated. It's shopping as exploration.
And if you want to leave those meticulously curated spots behind, really get your hands dirty, so to speak, you got to head out of Manhattan right now. The sources mention exploring vintage shops, specifically pointing to Brooklyn.
That's a perfect contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
If Soho is curation, Brooklyn vintage is more like the historical hunt. It suggests a whole different approach, focused on sustainability, maybe, history, definitely, and finding something truly unique, something that's lived a life before you even found it. It's kind of the opposite of that fast-paced streetwear trend cycle.
Yeah, the complete antithesis. And finally, we can't forget the huge retail anchor, the one that serves both the budget-conscious and the more traditional shopper, the department store. Our sources specifically mention Macy's. Yeah, Macy's is important because it functions as this massive, sometimes chaotic retail ecosystem. Sheer selection kind of trumps everything else.
Right, it's about volume. Totally. You go there for volume, for variety, all under one roof. Often for that budget-friendly or more accessible fashion. The atmosphere is usually loud, active, crowded. It's like a microcosm of the city's energy, but really focused purely on the transaction.
Okay, so this raises an important question then. We've mapped the city by style, budget, mood. How does this huge geographical and stylistic range really ensure that, like the sources say, there's something for everyone? Is it just about having lots of options?
Well, I think it's more than just options. It's because the destination seems to match the emotional expectation.
Ah, interesting. Explain that.
Like if you're feeling affluent and you want that polished experience, you head to the very structured environment of Fifth Avenue, right? If you feel restless, maybe adventurous, and you want to discover some hidden gem, you commit to the hunt. You go to Soho or maybe trek out to Brooklyn. The city lets you shop based on your emotional state, your desired experience, not just what's on your immediate checklist.
So you don't just find a product.
Exactly. You find the product in the right setting for how you're feeling or what you want to feel. That psychological connection is fascinating. And it leads us perfectly into the second part, the experiential aspect. Why is buying clothes in New York more than just shopping?
Let's dig into that initial memory cited in the sources, the one that sort of defines this difference.
Yeah, that specific memory is powerful because it focuses almost entirely on the ambiance and the service. The buyer notes the store felt so stylish.
Okay, so environment matters.
Hugely. It's part of the product itself. But critically, they also said the staff were helpful in finding pieces that really match my personality.
Wait, match my personality. That's a pretty strong claim. What were the sources suggesting there? Were the staff, like, trained psychologists or just really good salespeople?
Well, the implication seems to be that the service went beyond just passive assistance, Can I help you find a size? It was more about identity curation.
Identity curation.
Like, I mean, in a city like New York where personal presentation is, let's face it, pretty crucial. The staff almost become these expert facilitators. They didn't just find the right size. They apparently engaged in this dialogue focused on how the piece made the buyer feel, making sure the item was an authentic external reflection of their internal self, sort of.
So the retail staff kind of become a temporary personal stylist.
For that moment, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, I buy the high quality service point.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the city's energy itself. What's really fascinating is that focus on connection to the environment, the feeling of trying things on and feeling like you're part of the city's energy. That suggests a really immersive retail environment. How does the actual city buzz leak into the fitting room?
Well, the sources seem to suggest a necessary contrast, actually.
Yeah.
You might be coming in from those chaotic, high-energy streets, right?
Yeah.
The noise, the crowds, the competition almost.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Right, so the store itself provides this curated, maybe even idealized version of that same energy. So when you try things on, you look in the mirror, you're not just seeing yourself in a new shirt. You're seeing yourself as a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Or at least participating in that image. The garment acts almost like a uniform that connects you visually and emotionally to that high-octane environment outside.
Okay, that sense of immersion, it leads right to the story element, doesn't it? The sources claim buying clothes is about the story behind them, and that every item you buy carries a little piece of the city. Now, is that really true? Couldn't I say the same about, I don't know, a suit I bought in London or a scarf from Milan?
That's a fair question. I think the difference maybe lies in the specific narrative associated with New York.
Okay.
It's so often a narrative of like aspiration, hustle, maybe self-reinvention, right? So when you buy clothes here, the sources seem to frame the purchase not just as getting an item, but as acquiring a memory of that hustle or that moment of discovery or that feeling of fitting in.
So the item becomes more than just functional.
Exactly. It becomes a keepsake.
Yeah.
Cultural souvenir almost. Because you acquired it within this competitive, culturally significant environment. That context matters.
So it's less about getting dressed and more about acquiring this tangible piece of memory, something that validates your time spent in this major cultural center.
Yeah, and that emotional connection is what ensures the shopping experience, as the sources say, always feels special.
Right. The purchase is elevated from just a commodity.
To an artifact.
Yeah.
A personal artifact.
Which gives us a very specific, actionable takeaway for you, our listener, based on this whole experiential context. Given that the clothes serve as this kind of memory aid, the sources directly advise don't leave without picking up at least one outfit because, and this is the key insight, it'll always remind you of your time here. The clothing is explicitly framed as a wearable memory of your trip. It's probably the most functional form of memorabilia you can get, right? A souvenir you can actually use day to day.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's quickly recap the map and the mood we've unpacked today in this deep dive. We started by confirming NYC's foundational status. It is a global fashion capital.
No question. Then we mapped out that diverse retail landscape from the polished prestige of Fifth Avenue and the curated discovery you find in Soho boutiques.
Right, the exploration aspect.
To the historical hunt of Brooklyn vintage shops and, of course, the sheer volume you get at somewhere like Macy's.
And we also dissected those key components of the experience itself. The high style of the environment, the crucial role of the staff in that personality matching.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And that powerful feeling of kind of integrating yourself into the city's electric energy, maybe just through a fitting room selfie.
Right. So if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, the sources really frame clothes shopping in NYC not as a simple errand, not just ticking something off a list.
Yeah, definitely not.
But as this deliberate act, an act of like urban tourism and narrative acquisition. You're literally buying a piece of the city's story to take home.
Yeah, that's a great summary. And that leads us right to our final provocative thought for you to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the purpose of the clothes is fundamentally to carry a story and remind you of your time there, what specific piece of the city's narrative, whether it's that high-end designer glamour, the streetwear hustle, or maybe those unique street-level vintage, what piece would you choose to take home to define your memory of New York?
Choose your souvenir wisely.
And wear it with purpose.